imagine the scorching, barren plains of northern Afghanistan, a land where for centuries only sand, dust, and the howl of the wind have reigned. For generations, farmers and shepherds have lived under a blazing sun, watching the dry earth crack and the wind carry away the last traces of moisture. And now, imagine those same plains transformed into a living, breathing artery of water, a massive river cutting across the desert, carrying life wherever it flows. A place that was once silent and lifeless will soon echo with the sound of rushing water, bird song, and the laughter of children playing by its banks. This is not a fantasy. This is Qosh Tepa, the largest irrigation project in Afghanistan and one of the most ambitious artificial canals in the entire region. The Amu River, born from the icy crown of the Pamir Mountains, has been a gift of nature for Central Asia for centuries. Its waters have nurtured vast fields in Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. Yet Afghanistan, the very country through which part of its source and root pass, has long been left with only a fraction of that gift. Each year, more than 70% of Afghanistan's water flows across its borders unused, while farmers within its own territory have struggled to coax crops from parched soil. For decades, the people of the north have looked across the border with longing, watching their neighbors' fields grow green from the same river that flowed past them untapped. The idea of bringing the Amu's water to Afghanistan's thirsty northern plains is not new. Engineers and policymakers dreamed of it decades ago, but war, political instability, and lack of resources left those dreams locked in dusty files. The Qosh Tepa project was different. It was not built on foreign aid or promises from abroad, but on a firm political decision to act and the determination to finance it with Afghanistan's own resources. In its early days, the project began modestly, with only a handful of excavators and support vehicles, but that quiet start quickly grew into a monumental mobilization. Within months, over 4,000 heavy machines, bulldozers, excavators, loaders, and trucks were working day and night. More than 10,000 Afghans were directly or indirectly employed, and hundreds of skilled workers returned from abroad to join what many began to call a national mission. Qosh Tepa is a canal of monumental scale, 285 kilometers long, 152 meters wide, and 8.5 meters deep. It starts in the Kaldar district of Balkh province, winds through the dry plains of Haratan, Daulat Abad, and the flat expanses of Jawzjan, before reaching Ankoy district in Faryab province. Its purpose is as vast as its size, to irrigate over 580,000 hectares of farmland, transforming the economic and agricultural landscape of northern Afghanistan. The first phase of the canal, 108 kilometers from Kaldar to Daulat Abad, was a triumph of organization and determination, completed 6 months ahead of schedule. In a country where infrastructure projects are often delayed for years, this was almost unheard of. It involved not only digging the canal bed, but also building 20-meter wide access roads on both sides, preparing crossings for bridges, and making space for a future railway line that would run parallel to the canal. But the path was far from easy. The construction teams faced temperatures exceeding 45 degrees Celsius, clouds of fine dust that could choke an engine, and the sheer exhaustion of working under a merciless sun. In some sections, they encountered towering sand dunes, solid enough to resist smaller machines, forcing the deployment of specialized equipment and the coordination of large-scale removal operations. One surprise came from underground. In several parts of the route, as soon as the bed was dug, water began seeping in from natural aquifers. While this sometimes slowed excavation, it was also a promise of what was to come, proof that the region held hidden reserves of water that could be tapped for farming and livestock. The economic potential of Qosh Tepa is enormous. Once completed, the canal will allow Afghanistan to produce enough wheat to meet its own needs and still have surplus for export. This could save millions in imports and turn the country into a net exporter of grain. The fertile strip created on either side of the canal will support industrial parks, food processing plants, and new agricultural towns. Markets will spring up where today there are only dusty crossroads. And because the canal connects to the Amu River, it opens the possibility of river transport, allowing goods to move by water to Uzbekistan and beyond, a new artery for regional trade. Infrastructure along the canal has been built with long-term growth in mind. 2 major bridges now span the water, One carries the Hairatan-Mazar Railway, allowing freight trains to cross without slowing regional commerce. The other is for heavy road traffic, built with reinforced concrete foundations sunk 25 meters into the earth for strength and stability. The roads on both banks will not only serve the canal's construction needs, but will one day become highways for trade and tourism. The environmental impact is equally significant. Turning desert into farmland does more than feed people. It changes the climate of the area, increasing rainfall, reducing soil erosion, and expanding biodiversity. Where today the wind whistles over bare ground, tomorrow there will be orchards, vegetable gardens, and even public parks. Local families will have shade to rest under, and children will have green spaces to play. The plan also includes releasing thousands of fish into the canal's waters, creating a fishing industry that could supply both domestic markets and export demand. Energy production is another frontier. Afghanistan has the capacity to generate 310,000 megawatts of electricity, much of it from water, sun, and wind. Today, 75% of its electricity is imported. By building hydropower stations along Qosh Tepa, the country could replace a large share of those imports, saving millions of dollars annually and powering rural communities that have never had a steady supply of electricity. From the start, Afghan leaders have been clear about one thing: Qosh Tepa is being built with full respect for the water rights of neighboring countries. Afghanistan seeks to balance its own needs with regional cooperation, sending a message that development does not have to come at the expense of friendship. This is part of a broader shift toward what some call water diplomacy, using shared resources as a bridge rather than a barrier. When all three phases of Qosh Tepa are finished, Afghanistan will not just have a canal, it will have a new backbone of its agricultural economy, a corridor of trade, a generator of jobs, and a symbol of what can be achieved when a nation believes in its own strength. The day the first wave of Amu water flows through this channel will not just mark the completion of a project, it will mark the revival of a dream generations in the making. Qosh Tepa will not only irrigate the land, it will irrigate hope, resilience, and the vision of a self-sufficient Afghanistan.